Welcome, friends and flavor seekers, to this week's sizzling episode of Neighbors Cooking. I'm your host and chef, Mitch, and today we're squeezing the day with a zestful twist on a beloved classic, lemon chicken. This dish, my neighbors, is more than just a meal. It's a vibrant voyage through history, with lemons bringing their sunny origins from the heart of Asia. The lemon's tangy journey traversed continents and time to meet the humble chicken, an ancient domesticated treasure that has clucked its way into cultures around the globe. Through the Silk Road and into the Mediterranean alleys, Greek and Italians added their own twist, infusing the lemon's bright citrus with herbs, giving birth to the lemon chicken we cherish today. And now it's our turn to honor this timeless dish right here in our kitchens. This week's recipe incarnates simplicity and elegance. Chicken, fresh lemon juice, a touch of garlic, capers, and a whisper of thyme, all coming together with a splash of white wine and a dance of flavors that promises to awaken your palate. I'm sure you'll almost be able to smell the aromatic magic happening here in my kitchens. So without further ado, let's turn up the heat and let our senses revel in the culinary symphony that is lemon chicken. Join me as we give a zesty standing ovation to the star of today's show, and together, let's savor each burst of flavor that this dish brings to our tables and to our lives. This is Neighbors Cooking, where every recipe tells a story and every meal fills a home. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you back in our kitchens today. Now, I have to be honest, we have a little bit of a technical thing going on today. The gentleman, Joe, who you've all heard on numbers of shows, is off in Costa Rica, leaving me all by myself to have to monitor the different cameras that we use. So if you see me reaching over to my cell phone, it's because I'm moving around cameras and I don't have the amazing talents of Joe. But he'll be back next week, and we'll have a guest back next week, and we'll be back to normal. But I thought, since I'm leaving in the morning, I'll just do this quick 15-minute recipe, and I'll share an amazing, easy, beautiful, great, and healthy dish that all of your family are bound to love. So let's look at what our recipe involves. It really is just 12 ingredients. We have skinless, boneless chicken breasts, 4 tablespoons of flour, 2.5 tablespoons of freshly grated Parmesan cheese, half a teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 2.5 tablespoons of olive oil, a tablespoon, well, really 2 tablespoons because we'll do 2 different things, of butter. And in our lemon sauce, we're going to have some more butter, 2/3 a cup of white wine, 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, some fresh thyme, garlic, and capers. And with the capers, you can either keep the brine in or keep the brine out. That's your choice. Also, if you don't like capers, you don't have to add them in, but I'll tell you, the difference that you're going to have is really quite substantial. With the capers in it and the lemon, we get a balance in our sauce that really makes this dish delicious. Without the saltiness of the capers, you're going to end up with a very tangy and sweet sauce that might not be exactly what you like. So it's your choice. You don't have to add them. You also don't have to use flour. If you'd rather use cornstarch or cornmeal, you can also do that. I'm not a big fan of the cornmeal option, but it's entirely up to you. Remember, we're not trying to fry this chicken. We're not trying to make it all crispy and crunchy. We're just trying to get a nice golden brown on each side. So let's start with how we're going to prep all of this. In a stainless steel bowl, we're going to take our flour, our Parmesan cheese, our salt and our pepper, and we're going to mix that all together. Simple, simple. And this is going to become the coating that we put the chicken in. Now, when you buy chickens, you have a couple of choices. You can either buy chicken already cut thin, or you can buy thick breasts and cut them. So I've already cut mine, but when you do them, you're going to approach the chicken from whichever side you are, right or left-handed, and you're going to take the edge of your knife, and you're going to just find the middle part of the chicken, and you're going to start slicing. And as you slice, you will fillet it, and you will open it up, and you'll cut it in half. That will give you 2 thin breasts. Now, you might ask, why do the breasts need to be thin? Well, if you put it into the oil to cook it and the breasts are too thick, then you're going to end up with either burned outer side or uncooked on the inside. Neither of those are great options, so we want to make sure that we make those chickens thin enough. You can also pound them out, but that just is a whole lot of extra work that we don't need. So let's begin with the chicken. So we've rinsed our chicken. We're going to put it into the bowl. We're just going to lightly dust it. Just move it around. You're going to shake off a lot of that excess. All right. Now this recipe is really for 4 people. I'm just doing 2 breasts for simplicity. I hate wasting food. And it just, I hate wasting food. That's all there is to it. And I'll be able to eat these 2 chicken breasts all by myself tonight. So we've got those all shaken off. All right. And then into our pan right behind us, we are going to put our olive oil. I already have this pan heating up just a little bit. So let's take our olive oil and put that into our pan. There we go. And we're going to let that get hot. While that's heating up, I'll share tomorrow I am leaving to go to Las Vegas. I'll be attending the National Pride Conference, and I'm so proud to be able to go and represent Palm Springs Pride as their Director of Volunteers. It's one of the jobs that I just love that I do in our community. And I get to go to Vegas and interact with all of my contemporaries and learn even better ways and better methods to make the event that we host here every November for Palm Springs Pride even better. Last year we had over 200,000 people that attended, so we're hoping for a push in the attendance again this year. And as always, I count on all of my volunteers, about 400 of them, to come out in force and help us. So I don't say it enough, or I do say it enough maybe, but thank you to all of our volunteers. You are what makes Palm Springs Pride great. So we're going to take this chicken now, and we're going to put it into our hot oil. It may not be quite hot enough. So I think I told you Joe's in Costa Rica. He's learning about coffee so that he can be a better Starbucks manager. He's already a great Starbucks manager, but what a great opportunity. Starbucks sends its managers for continuing education down to a coffee farm that they have in Costa Rica, and Starbucks partners with local coffee growers, and they've created this like co-op situation. I really don't know all the great details, but they've created this situation where they work with local farmers to better their crop and make a better bean. And it was interesting. I didn't know that it takes a cup, 100 coffee beans to make 1 cup of coffee. So whatever the numbers were, it's really a large number. I'm sure Joe will absolutely correct me on that. So we've got our oil going. We're going to have a look over there at that pan and see. It feels like it's got a good little heat on it. You want to make sure that you have enough heat on your oil when you put it in so you're not going to burn it, but so that all the flour doesn't just roll off of it. All right, so let's have a look here. I think that's good. If you get a little bit of a sizzle, then you know you're in good shape. And excuse me, I have to get into my dishwasher and grab a tool. There we go. Almost seems no matter how prepared I get, sometimes there's something that you just forget in the kitchen, and that's normal for all of us, right? That is not quite hot enough. The other reason I'm careful with the oils and smoke, it smokes in my kitchen, and Joe and I have found that the smoke detectors go off. And if I turn the fan on that's underneath the stove, I just end up with a whole lot of noise. So I think that's good. So we're going to go ahead and take this chicken. Remember, when you're putting any type of meat into oil, always place it in the pan away from you so that you don't have oil spatter up on you. There we go. more. And those are off to the races. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is with thyme. So the interesting thing with thyme is, you know, it comes on these stems, and what we want is these delicate little flowers that are on the stems. You don't want any of the wood stems inside of your dish. So when you want to take the fine flower off of the stem, hold the stem from the top firmly, gently pull down on the stem, and all of the flower will come off. All right? Let's try that one more time. So we're just taking a stem, holding the top, gently going down, and we have all of this amazing, delicious, fragrant thyme. We're going to take that once it's off, and we're just going to chop it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be super fine. This is just for flavor. So we're going to chop all that up. That is lovely. I've got some fresh lemon juice, herbs, the wine, and the garlic. And those are all going to go in to this pan we have over here with our sizzling chicken. Or sort of sizzling chicken, but it is going. So let's turn this up just a little. You know, doing this show every week is a lot of fun. I get a big kick out of it. It's a little stressful sometimes because I'm running to the store and I forget one thing or I forget two things. You know, it's just normal in the kitchen. You can do the best planning that you can do. I'm not like Martha Stewart or some of the other TV chefs that have a whole staff of people that pull everything together and they just show up on stage. I actually do all the work myself and all the shopping. I also am a private chef, so I cook for small receptions, dinners, anniversaries. I also cook for seniors that might otherwise not be able to stay in their homes, and I go in and cook nutritious meals for them, plate them up and put them into their fridges, and they can warm a great meal up in a couple of minutes. I've developed some amazing friendships through that, and I'm so honored to be able to serve that segment of our society. You know, it's important. I think sometimes we don't even necessarily meet our neighbors, which is the whole reason I have this show, is to bring in my neighbors and my friends and our community leaders and to allow each of us to socialize and share food and share recipes. That's, you know, some of my greatest and fondest memories are through food. And so I really encourage you to meet your neighbors, meet your community, invite them into your home, share recipes. I used to be terrible. I lived in a high-rise in Atlanta, and I never met most of my neighbors. In fact, my very next door neighbor I had never met till the day he was moving out. And I thought he was moving in, and I introduced myself because I had never seen him. And he informed me he'd lived there for 2 years and was moving out. So that was bad on me, and I felt very bad about that. So meet your neighbors, get to know them, watch out for your friends and neighbors. It's important. So let's have a look and see how this looks. So we've got a nice little crispy brown on one side, and we're going to let the other side start to do its thing. Now, I'm going to go ahead and mix these other ingredients into a bowl. So we've got our garlic. We've got our garlic. We've got our lemon juice. We've got our capers. And what's really cool about this recipe is we are doing this in one pan. There's nothing better than cooking a delicious meal in one pan, I'll tell you. And when the chicken is done, we're not going to clean the pan out. We're going to continue to make that sauce build on those flavors that we already have going on in here, all right? So let's just keep an eye on this, see how it's doing. Now, Unfortunately, I left my cast iron skillet at a client's house. I would usually use a cast iron skillet because I get a much faster cook on it and the heat is better, and I love cast iron pans. If you don't have a cast iron pan, it should be a staple that you get into your kitchen. It's something that you season and it grows in its amazing flavors that build up in it. So you season your cast iron pans. You don't put them in the dishwasher. You wipe them out. You don't involve scrubbing with scrubs. And all of that flavor absorbs into the cast iron. And over the years, you will have an amazing piece of kitchen tool in your kitchen to use forever. You can even pass it on to your kids if you wanted to. I'm not a big fan of having lots of things in my kitchen. I used to be an appliance crazy person, and I finally had to put myself on appliance probation and say, if I bring in something new, something has to go out. When you see all of these great things on the internet and television, you know, buy these pans, this is a great pan, this is a great tool, look how easy this makes this to be. Those all become tools you will never use, so keep it simple. Don't fill your drawers up. I bet there's a number of you have a huge utility drawer that you open up and it's just filled with things. And, you know, tongs and knives and spoons and wood and plastic, all just piled up inside, and all you ever use are the very pieces on top. So think about things before you bring them into your kitchen. It doesn't take a lot of money to cook, but it can cost you a whole heck of a lot of money if you're not careful. So I'm sure you can hear that sizzle going on, and we're going to switch back over. You can hear that sizzle going on. That is exactly what you want. And at the same time, we're getting all of these brown little bits in the bottom. There we go. The other thing about this is you have already thinned these breasts out, so they're going to cook in relatively a few minutes, about 5 minutes maybe on each side. And they will be done. As they cook, continue to scrape all the bits off the bottom. That's all going to be part of your sauce when we are done. Now, I know in this recipe I call for some wine. Don't use expensive wine. The money that you spend for that wine and for that flavor will not transcend into the dish that you're making. Save the good wine for your friends and just use an inexpensive wine. $2, $3, $4 for white wine, Chardonnay, Riesling, just white wine. And you will be just as satisfied. And remember, the wine is going to cook off, so we don't have to worry about alcohol in our meals. Now those just look beautiful. I want to get a little paper towel here because we're going to let these drain for just a minute. And we can see, look how beautiful and brown those are. That's exactly what we wanted. Let's scrape those bits off. And now we're going to add our garlic, lemon juice, and capers. We'll let that cook down. Oh, look at that. How fabulous. We're going to add our butter to create a smoother sauce. Let that melt in. And you'll see as the butter melts in, you get more creaminess. We're going to add our herbs, our thyme. And then we're going to add the white wine. All right. And we're going to bring that up to a boil. And we're going to put our chicken back into it. And we're going to let it cover up for just a few minutes. And so that it can just get a little higher internal temperature. All right. So we're almost done with this dish. Now, if you're wondering what you should serve this with, it really depends on what your preferences are. You could serve this with mashed potatoes and some Brussels sprouts, or you could serve it with a spring salad, put the piccata chicken on top of the spring salad and drizzle it with the lemon sauce and the capers, and you've got one of the healthiest meals you could be eating, and all in under 30 minutes. I think we are probably 20 minutes in, so we're doing great in getting this dish done. I can't wait to share it with you. I'm going to, how are we doing over here? Beautiful, oh my gosh. All right. So I'm going to take a piece of that chicken and take some sauce. I'm laughing because my dog, who you can all probably see down here on the floor, Gomez is 24 and a half years old. He'll be 25 in September. And I've had him the entire time. He's a little bit deaf, a little bit blind, but he is all the love that I need. So, here we have chicken piccata. As you can see, it's got this beautiful capers and the thyme on top, a little bit of the lemon sauce. And I am going to do the taste test. So, here we go. Oh my gosh. That is so, so good. So I want to thank all of you for joining me on my show every single week and for your support. It means really the world to me. I hope that you'll like us, follow us, and share us with your friends. And be sure and tag this recipe if you share it with Chicken Piccata, Neighbors Cooking, and Chef Mitch. I'll see you next week in the kitchens when Joe's back and I have another guest, and we'll enjoy another great meal together. Thanks, have a great day, and we'll see you back in the kitchen.